Hey there, true believers. Joshua Westbrook here, and this is your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man pre-show. Now, when the show comes out next Wednesday, January 29th, I'm going to be doing a Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man after show. I plan for it to air around the same time. It's like, what, 6 p.m.-ish Pacific time, on Thursdays, which is the day after the show comes out. So you watch the show on Wednesday. I watch the show on Wednesday. Thursday, next day, we'll talk about it on the after show. The pre-show is pre-recorded. This time I'm gonna be going over the two prequel comics they put out. The issue 1 and issue 2 of the prequel comic, and then I'm going to go over stuff we saw or heard from D23, you know, and then things that they have in the official Marvel podcast, because they had like 3 episodes, one with the executive producer, one with the showrunner essentially, and then one with the voice actor for Spider-Man. So I'm gonna go over all the things that you should know going into the show so that when the show airs, you've already got some information. I'm gonna start with the comics. Just the bullet points, just the main things that make this Spider-Man universe different from all the other Spider-Man universes. If you want like full write-ups on both of these, I have them on facefrontblog.com. I'll have links in the description, but I have essentially like detailed looks at both of these comics. But for the sake of the video, I'm just going to go over the big things that you should know out of each of these. So we're going to start with issue 1. I actually have some variants for issue 1. I got this one where Spider-Man's eating pizza, and then I got this one where he's eating a pretzel. He's eating a lot. And then I have this one, which is the homage to Amazing Fantasy 15, where he's holding Harry. That's Harry, if you didn't know. And this is the one they used in the trailer, actually. So that's why I put it on a bag and board, because this one I think is special. So those are the variants. But let's go over issue 1. The big things we should know from issue 1 are Uncle Ben is already dead before Peter gets bitten by the spider. And if I go to the exact page, again, full write-ups on Facefront blog, but we're just breezing over them. Peter, see, he gets Midtown has been attacked, and at the D23 we heard that Doctor Strange was fighting some entity. Some people said it was Venom. It wasn't Venom. They saw a big black scary creature and like, oh, that's Venom. It wasn't. Some folks were saying it was Shathra, like the wasp deity from. She was recently in Dan Slott's run. She tried to unravel the Spider Verse, uh, which makes more sense if that's where the spider that bit Peter came from. A fight between Doctor Strange and a wasp deity trying to destroy the Spider Verse. But Midtown has been destroyed, and Peter gets bitten right here. All right, and so Aunt May is insisting on him going to the hospital, and Peter doesn't want to go because it's expensive. He's like really broke in this universe. He has no money. um, like we've seen Peter broke, but he's like dirt poor in this universe. But Peter says the exact words he used are, "Haven't we both spent enough time in hospitals for a while?" So not only is Uncle Ben dead, but I think like it makes it seem like he slowly died, like over time. Like maybe he was sick and passed away, which is kind of crazy. Uproots the whole like mythos of Spider-Man, like the whole Uncle Ben got shot because he let a burglar escape. So what his motivation will be for becoming Spider-Man, they kind of explain it in this prequel series, but like I guess I assuming we're gonna see more in the show. This series takes place in a time gap. Christos Gage, who's writing the comic, he also wrote a few Insomniac Spider-Man game tie-in comics. But on Twitter, he said that there is a time gap that takes place in the beginning of the show, and this is where these comics live. All of the issues aren't out; they only have the 2 issues now. I thought they would be done with all the prequel issues before the show dropped, but I guess not. But that's where we're at right now. Whatever time jump takes place in the show is where this picks up. As you saw, he befriends Nico Minoru. For those of you who don't know Nico, she is a runaway. Um, there's a Marvel comic series called The Runaways. She's like a goth girl that wields the staff of one and it can cast spells. but she can only use the spell once, and she has to like say what she wants, and it does it. Um, her mother is a supervillain named Tina Minoru, and she's part of like this group called the Pride. That's who the Runaways are fighting. I don't think they're gonna go into all that because in the comic, Nico has a foster mom, and she says she's from L.A. and she keeps talking about L.A., which is where the Runaways are from. But right there you see he's got a foster mom, and her and May became friends immediately. So yeah, I don't think they're gonna go into whole Nico's backstory with the Runaways and all that, because it's a Spider-Man show, so they gotta focus on Spider-Man. But yeah, Peter and Nico are friends, so those are the two big changes off the bat. Nico and Peter are friends. Uncle Ben's already dead. And then Midtown's destroyed. So those are three, because Peter usually goes to Midtown. But with Midtown's gone, where's he going to go to school? They actually cover that. But anyway, Peter and Nico go to investigate what happened at Midtown. Turns out Silvermane is trying to like buy the land that Midtown is on because he wants to expand his empire. I love that. What exactly is it? Silvermane's cover is the Silvermane Hair Products for Men Incorporated, which I think is great. A great cover for Silvermane's operations. But he didn't cause the Doctor Strange fight, but he caused like a further explosion to, I guess, make sure Midtown doesn't come back. Because whatever he's doing, however he wants to expand, Midtown's in the way, so he wants it gone. Peter, in order to investigate Silvermane, says he has to become something else, or but maybe someone else could. Yeah, Peter Parker can't risk crossing those guys, but maybe someone else could with the Spider-Man under him. As you see, he envies Captain America in this universe. The Avengers are a thing. Silvermane brings up Daredevil. He brings up the Avengers. He's not happy that there's a hero in Queens now. Essentially, that's essentially what the first issue is. The second issue, we see him in this a wrestling getup that he wears in Amazing Fantasy 15. The kind of with the little net mask on his face, and he's fighting Crusher Hogan, as we know. That is Crusher Hogan. Now, the wrestling match was the thing that all happened before Uncle Ben died. So like, it's a little confusing, but it's not actually. So the wrestling match is actually in some rich kid's backyard. And then Peter's fighting for back rent, because like I said, he is dirt poor in this show. He has zero money. He like chucks Crusher Hogan into the air, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't know how strong I was. Let me test that out before I go Spider-Maning," and which leads to this funny little homage to Spider-Man No More. Uh, until he figures out how strong he is. So he does that. He makes his web shooters. He figures out he needs to make the webs dissolve. All the very like Mark 1 Spider-Man stuff. And he has like the when he makes his first costume, oh, we see like just he finds the hockey jersey, he puts together the mask, he has the tanks, the web tanks. Now we know in the show it's like a vertical, or yeah, a horizontal tank on his lower back, but he has like two vertical tanks here, so like obviously he's gonna iterate on the suit, he's gonna improve it. But he fights the enforcers who Silvermane sends after him, and the enforcers look exactly like they do in the comics. Got Fancy Dan Ox in Montana. The nothing really differentiating there. Um, One thing, he does want to be called your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Like it's not just the title of the show; it's actually in the story because spiders are scary, as he says, and he wants people to trust him and like him. And then they do introduce the new high school that he and Nico end up going to. It's called Rockford T. Bales High, and that's him and Nico arriving. Apparently it's like a high end school. A bunch of rich kids go there, including the rich kid that was running the wrestling event in his backyard against Crusher Hogan. So I don't know if he's gonna be here when the show starts, but uh, as far as we know, Rockford T. Bales High is where he's going to school since Midtown was destroyed. So friends with Nico Minoru, Uncle Ben's gone. He's going to Rockford T. Bales High. Uh, he's already made his costume and the webs and all that. Pretty, pretty, like it's different, but it's the same. Like, and I'll go over more of the difference. But like I said, if you want more detailed look into both of these comics, I'll link it in the description. I have full write ups on these issues. Moving into the official Marvel podcast, the first one they did was with Dana Vasquez Eberhardt, who is the producer, the executive producer on the show, and she talked about what she said was like it was a little confusing, honestly, because like she made it seem like the show was like a offshoot of MCU Spider-Man, but it's a completely own universe. It's So the show when it started, when it was still called like freshman year, it was rumored to initially be like an origin story for Tom Holland's Spider-Man, which I said was a bad idea because that handcuffs them immensely in they can do creatively. But it seems like it's more like a what if for Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Like, because what how Dana put it is she said, "Oh, he's not going to Midtown, so he never meets Ned and MJ. What happens to Peter after that?" I don't think that they're really gonna like hold like too true to MCU continuity because, as you can see, there's a lot of things that just don't add up. Like we know from the trailer, Norman Osborn and Oscorp are in this show, and in No Way Home, Norman says Oscorp doesn't exist. Harry's gone. Harry's in the show, so I don't think that it's like beholden to MCU continuity, but I think that what she was doing was basically giving everybody just a starting point of familiarity because everybody's familiar with this is the MCU Peter and this is a Marvel Studios production or Marvel Animation technically, but it is all part of Marvel Studios. So I don't think that the MCU is gonna hold them back any. It's its own Spider-Man universe. It's taking a lot from the comics, a lot from the comics. So I wouldn't worry about any MCU baggage tying it down, which is good. We need it to thrive on its own. We need it to do its own thing to set up its own universe. Um, so that's what she said. She said the show is takes an all ages approach because she wants it to be accessible. They want it to be accessible, but she said they're aiming to please the older and the younger crowd, which I personally think is good. I really love because I'm tired of all these like super mature superhero products like basically gating off the younger community because kids love Spider-Man. Like these shows shouldn't be only for adults. I think that kids should be able to watch them. It's an animated Spider-Man show, and it would really suck if kids couldn't watch it. That would be bad. So she said that it's striking a balance. She said there are some like dark places this show goes, and but it's like not like X-Men '97 Genosha dark, but it's more like Peter emotionally dark. It's like things that Peter has to work through as a character because Peter's an eternally tortured character, and he's gonna what she made it sound like is butt heads a lot with Norman Osborn. The relationship between him and Norman is a strong point in the show. As we see in the trailer, Norman figures out Peter's Spider-Man and he hooks him up with the Future Foundation suit. But she's like, Peter sees the world kind of black and white, like this is right, this is wrong. And Norman's a very gray area operator. He's like, yeah, sure, this is the right thing to do, but if we want this result, we need to do this wrong thing, you know? So Peter and Norman are gonna clash ideal wise, and then this leads to Jeff Trammell, who's a showrunner. He worked on Craig of the Creek previously. If you have not seen Craig of the Creek, it is a wonderful show. I watched it with my brother, and I do think that show, like I'm in my 30s, my brother is in his late 20s, and we loved that show. that it had something for everybody. And he also talked about striking a balance between older audience and younger audience. So I really think that this show is going to be accessible for everybody. I think it's going to have something that everybody likes, honestly speaking. And what he's saying is this is about Peter and his like they're putting a lot of emphasis on his supporting cast in this show. We know Nico Minoru is one. We know Harry Osborn is another. We see him save Harry in the trailer, and we see a shot in the trailer where him and Nico and Peter are hanging out on his couch, just laughing about something. And then Lonnie Lincoln is in the show, uh, and Jeff Tramiel was talking about how Peter would like butt ideologies with Lonnie because we know Lonnie Lincoln, for those of you who don't know, becomes Tombstone. And so Tombstone is not a good guy. And so he's like, Lonnie's gonna have this like offshoot story where he's like going down a dark path, and while Peter's, going on a light path, and he's like, those two are they're gonna butt heads. Because from the trailer, it looks like, they're pretty close, but like they're gonna figure out how different the world can be when one's destined to be a superhero and one's destined to be Tombstone. And then the third official Marvel podcast did Hudson Thames, who was the voice actor for Spider-Man in this show. He has done Spider-Man one other time, and that was in the zombie episode of What If. Was the only time and that was Tom Holland's Spider-Man because What If takes place in the MCU. So his voice he said that during that one he was like trying to like sound a little more like Tom Holland, but he for this show he's trying to carve his own path as Spider-Man, and you can tell the voice is clearly different. He does not sound like Tom Holland in this show. Which is good. And it just solidifies this show is while there may be some like nods and references to the MCU, like we see him in the trailer stop the car from hitting the bus, like in like the footage Tony had in Civil War, but like it's not hamstringing itself to the MCU. So um that's what Hudson Thames said, and he said he's a Spider-Man fan. He said his brothers know a lot more about the comic stuff, and so like he goes to them for advice and stuff. But he's a Spidey fan himself, and he says he's gonna try to do the character justice. That is what we know about this show. It's gonna be an approachable show that is in its own universe. It's going to go to some dark places, but ultimately be just a Spider-Man show about him and his supporting cast and his friends. We know from the comics, Uncle Ben's gone. We know that he's not going to Midtown, or he might be. Midtown might be fixed if Silvermane's fan plan fails, then and they repair Midtown. He might be going there in the beginning of the show, but I'm not exactly sure. He might be going to Rockford T. Bales High. We're not sure. I wish all the comics were out, but they're not. The solicits haven't come out till like through March, so we'll see. I'll keep doing write-ups on the comics, and then during the after shows, if a comic comes out, I'll bring up what I've learned from that. But yeah, that's what we know. That's what you should know going into Spider-Man, your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Again, the after show is going to be Thursdays around this time. It's going to be live, and we're just going to talk about it. We're just gonna discuss each episode because that's the one thing I can't stand is I just get done watching this amazing episode of Marvel Television and I have nobody to talk about it with. So I'm going to talk about it with you guys. All right? But that was your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man pre-show. I will see you guys next week around the same time live for the after show. This isn't gonna get off the rails like the Face Front show does. We're gonna stay on topic. We're gonna talk about your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. All right, we'll have the Face Front show where we can talk about all the other stuff and you guys ask me about my action figures and all that. But this after show, I'm gonna try and keep it shorter. I'm gonna try and keep it more focused. I'm gonna try and just talk about the episodes, and I'm pretty sure they're airing in batches because they wanted to finish before Daredevil comes out. Daredevil Born Again. They don't want to compete with themselves. That would be bad. So yeah, I think they're doing like several episodes at a time each weekend, so we'll have a lot to talk about. So we won't get off track because we'll have plenty of material to go over. But yeah, that's that. That's the show so far. That's what we know. I cannot honestly wait for this show. It looks really good. The animation looks great. Like I've always said that Spider-Man needs to be or like 3D style better suit Spider-Man because of the web slinging. Because like even in the 90s show, there would be those super cheesy shots where the city would turn 3D and it would like pan through because Spider-Man web slinging looks better in 3D. When he's on 2D, it looks really flat and he's like going but when it's 3D, you can like get some depth to it. You can like I love how in this show the camera like follows Spider-Man. He's like doing all these aerial tricks. I really think this was the right animation for this show. The combat looks incredible. The voice acting looks top notch. They keep everybody in each episode of the podcast kept talking about Coleman Domingo as Norman Osborn. So I can't wait to see what he does. Uh, I don't know. I'm really excited. The theme song, I want a full version of that song. I hope that they release it on Spotify day one because just the jazzed up the hip hop version while mixing in the Spider-Man. It's like, don't you want to name it like Spider? I can't wait. I need that song. I need this show. I'm really impatient. I wish we could see more of it. Where's the marketing for this show? I Marvel. I see a new trailer or TV spot for what's it called? Captain America: Brave New World every single day. But we've only had one trailer for this show and the prequel comics and a couple episodes of the official Marvel podcast. Where's the clips? Where's the show's come out in less than a week? Where are the trailers? Where's the marketing? Why am I sitting here talking more about this show than Marvel? Well, I don't get that. Like I don't know. I don't know. When X-Men 97 was coming out, there was a whole bunch of marketing for that. What are we doing, Marvel? You got a Spider-Man. You have a Spider-Man TV show coming out in a few days. Please market it. Um, that's besides the point. Anyways, I've droned on too long. That's it for now. Go to Facefront Blog if you want more on those prequel comics. Come back here next week for the after show where we can talk about the episodes, and it's all gonna be great. All right. And until then, face front, true believers, and I'll see you in the multiverse. Bye.